hot, hot fire. Miami's hot, 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 hot fire. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. We are back for another episode of The Real Housewives of Miami. And this is season. Hold on. I got y'all. Hold on, please. Season 7, episode 13. Oh my gosh, we're still in Seville. Or Seville. Yeah, so anyway, this episode is called Next Stop Marbella. And so this is episode where they go to Julia's friends to seek for them to be the godfathers of the adopted kids. Now, before we get started with this review, if you didn't see my Real Housewives of Orange County review, I am going through some personal stuff right now, so please bear with me. I'm not an emotional mess, clearly, on the surface, the mask is on. Mask on. But yeah, my perspective of how I'm watching the show is different at this point because I'm actually truly trying to escape from reality. Okay? And so I'm even to a certain degree, I've kind of wiped the slate of what I've been seeing on the show so far because of everything that's going on, actually in my life. So you might think I switched it up. I didn't really switch it up. It's just my mindset watching the show is substantially different than than before. If you want the details, I'm not going to get into it again. I went into it in my Orange County review. Long story less long. There's some family stuff going on. Yeah. I've since gotten some better news since I actually did that review. When it comes to some of my family stuff, because I have multiple family situations happening at the same time. So overwhelmed about my feelings is an understatement of the year. Another long story less long. 2025 has not been great when it comes to what's going on with my family. It's actually been the worst. It's been horrible. Basula. Really throw this year in the garbage, for real. Minus some of the cool stuff. It's weird. I feel like the highs have been extremely high and the lows have been extremely low. You know what? 2025 is a bipolar year. I feel very bipolar this year. As far as the sequences of events. But that's not what you're here for. You're actually here to probably escape with me. So let's actually talk about these Real Housewives and not what I got going on. I'm not a Real Housewife. Well, I'm not talking about me. Anyway, let's get into it. So after that argument, everything that happened, and Stephanie doing the most when it comes to this playing. Side note, I was just gonna say right away. I hope during this reunion, I don't continue hearing anything about no Jetiquette. I'm so sick of hearing Jetiquette. Jacket. And but we'll get more into it. So it's the morning of the trip. And so so they're gonna be flying on her plane. Pretty much she did that scene chart and all that for nothing. It didn't really mean anything for real. Especially once you saw what the plane was giving, it wasn't really a true thing. And so Julia, Gertie, Kiki, who's by the way, still mad at Adriana because they had that blow up of a dinner. They're there. Lisa is there, and she basically already talked to Julia. She's like, hey, me and Larsa aren't talking right now, but I'm going to be in my best behavior. I'm not going to try none with her. And that's that on that. And then we find out from Julia, because Marisol and oh wow, Alexia, they both decided that they don't want to go on the trip. They're going to stay in Seville, and then they're going to basically just do the things together, have a girl time, and that's that on that. See, and this is one of the first times where that after show gave so much context, and I view a lot of it differently after watching the after show, and now I don't know what to believe. So when it came to, because we already know that this whole situation of them not going on this trip and not going on the plane is going to cause a problem. It definitely did. Julia was fine with it, and it's her event, and I feel like Larsa and Stephanie were kind of pressing Julia to feel more of a way about it than she is, but she was like, no, it's fine. Because Julia kind of agrees with what they're saying. And I actually agree with what they're saying too, but we'll get into that. But the way they handle it afterwards is like, and this is why there's no hero in this story. Everyone's a villain in this story, pretty much, when it comes to like this playing and not going on the trip. We'll get a little bit more into it when we get into it. But basically, Stephanie was hurt because she was like, that's totally a flip of what we were talking about the night before. Like, everything was good, and they showed the footage of like everyone bonding. So immediately, because Stephanie has been having issues with Alexia this whole entire time, she thinks it's Alexia who's gassing up Marisol. And I mean, she will find out that's not what it was. It was both of them, but and technically it was Marisol. And we'll get there. But yeah, so she was hurt. And Larsa had her back too, because Larsa was like, that's really, really messed up. Like, we have an opportunity to like go on this thing. And really at the end of the day, this playing thing shouldn't even really be about the playing. It should really be about going to support Julia. And even Gertie went, and Gertie just now got kind of good with Julia. And she even went, you know. And at the end of the day, it was 20 minutes. Now, was Stephanie being insufferable about the whole entire thing? Yes. Is she insufferable? Yes. But when we break it down, it kind of was giving a power move that didn't work. A power move that didn't land. And it actually reminds me of what happened last season with Kiki. We'll get into it when we get into it, though. Anyway. So Stephanie's going on about this Jetica thing again. And the girls are like partying on the plane, having a good time, like boop, boop, boop. Like they're playing like the house music. They're like, I kind of wanted to be there, but then out of nowhere, Stephanie like is just like going off on this tangent. She's like, that hurts my feelings, this, that, and this and that. But it didn't come off as that hurts my feelings. It came off very as like bossy. Like baby boss behavior. And so that's kind of the other thing that makes her insufferable, is not only is she flaunty and kind of flashy, but like a little over the top of the flashiness. She gives off this bossy energy. And who wants to be bossed around by a grown woman when they themselves are also grown? Not me. And respectfully, I kind of would have been on the same side as Alexia and Marisol not want to go on that plane. I'm like, you know what? You're holding this over our head. And so when Julia was trying to be the voice of reason about it, Julia was like, see, this is what I mean. This is exactly what they're talking about. Because Julia was like, well, because Stephanie's combat immediately was like, well, you don't have a problem being on this plane right now. You think I'm bossy? I was like, see, and this is exactly what they were talking about. You're holding this plane over everyone's head. It's weird. It's weirdo behavior. Anyway, Stephanie's exhausting. They finally do get to Marbella, and they get to this place called Villa Morona. And in the words of Gertie, this is some White Lotus shit, and I approve. And I agree. I was like, mm-hmm. Also, side note, between Gertie, Lisa, and Kiki, them three this episode were cracking me up, and it just makes me sad that Gertie and Kiki are not getting along at this moment. But they were cracking me up this episode. Neither here nor there. Let's move on. So when they're there, I mean, this is some rich people stuff. Like, it looks rich. It looks they're this villa is off the water, and it's just like what? I was like, I was jealous. I was so jealous. I was like, see, this is what I'm talking about. And honestly, when I was watching this, I was going through the things I was going through when it came to my personal stuff. And I forgot about it watching it. I was literally able to escape. And I'm like, this is what I like about Housewives. So if I was to rate this episode before we keep going, I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10. It did what it needed to do for me. Because we're out of the dark stuff. We're like not arguing about any of that dark stuff anymore. And we have left Gertie alone. So now I'm like, okay, I need to like forget about that. I need to put that aside and watch the rest of the show. And if you put that aside, yeah, Miami's still giving what needs to be gave. But the thing is, in my normal mindset, I'm not sure if I would have been able to do that, but neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. We're here right now. So anyway, Lisa this whole entire time is being bougie. And like bougetto bougie. Like she act like she ain't seen nothing nice a day in her life, and it's cracking me up. And she's like, I feel like I should talk properly. This place is just so rich. I feel like does anyone have some Grey Poupon? Grey Poupon? I'm like, girl. She was acting like Babs. If y'all know the reference of Babs, it was cracking me up. I was like, Lisa, you are killing me with this. But then she was just like, I need your attention. She was toasting constantly, but the first toast was a good toast. We actually find out that Lisa actually found out after that blow up from Jody when she checked her email, she is officially divorced. So it's over with. So all the women are cheering on. They're like, yay, you're officially divorced. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Hold on. Sorry, this is like my third review. That's why I don't like that. But anyway. But then Larsa the whole entire time is being petty. And the thing is, with her pettiness, she was probably talking a little bit of truth. Just a little bit. I'm going to give her that. But she's just like, okay, the divorce is over with. It's not like it's over. She's not wrong. Because they have kids. If they didn't have kids and they could truly sever ties, yes, I would say it's over with. But knowing how Lenny is, it seems like he's very self-absorbed and only cares about himself. Since the children is still a thing, it's over with when it comes to the marriage. But when it comes to some of the, he still could do some tit for tat type stuff. It just isn't going to be as bad. So even though Larsa came off harsh and kind of came off as a hater, I kind of do agree with her. Like most of the really, really hard stuff is over with as far as dividing assets when it comes to like the marriage stuff. But since child support and spousal support and all that's still a thing, that doesn't necessarily, that it doesn't mean it's over, and she's not wrong. So because she's still not really cool with Lisa, she won't give Lisa anything. And Lisa's trying to like use this as an excuse as an olive branch, like, hey. So Lisa, again, is trying to olive branch it out, and Larsa's having none of it. And so she's like, okay, I tried, whatever. And then after that, then we go back to Seville, and we see that Marisol and wow, Alexia, they're at a cafe and they're venting about everything when it comes to Stephanie. They're just like, she's just too much. And I'm sorry, I would agree. I would agree with them. And also too, like, how are you going to come into a situation and this is like your first time there? And because even if you were to view this as like, okay, I know we're supposed to view this as like friends, but let's view this as in what it really is. They're co-workers, right? So if someone brand new just came in with some extra bossy energy and just was like trying to like pretty much like wave their stuff around, be like, yeah, no, like my way or the highway. Would you feel good about that? No. So in this case, in this particular case, I kind of agree with them too. Now, the way they treated Dr. Nicole, I don't agree with that. And honestly, to a certain degree, I bet they now wish Dr. Nicole was there instead of her. But you pushed her off the show. So you get what you get. You don't pitch a fit. Moving on. So besides venting, the other thing that we get from this scene is that Marisol contacts, well, FaceTime Sir Richard Branson, like Virgin Mobile, Virgin himself, like Virgin Mobile, y'all, the guy who like one of the richest men on the planet, period. And so they get invited to do this thing with him. And so apparently we find out, and this is a Marisol event. And side note, Marisol, for her being a friend of, she has had so many events. So many events. She's doing all this and she's still like full time. She's actually doing more work than actually Alexia is, which is quite comical. But neither here nor there. But anyway, I feel like they're treating them too as if they're one, but actually it's fitting. But so we find out this is what's going to happen next episode, like this event. But anyway, moving on from there, Lisa back over in Marbella. Lisa is still doing the most. She's trying to do another toast, and because both Larsa and Lisa and some of the other women confess that they wish that Marisol and Alexia were there. Because they really were missing out. It looks very like they were missing out so much over something that was 20 minutes. They were going to be on this jet for 20 minutes going out and going back. Y'all could have dealt with her doing that. Or found a different way of getting there. But, because, I mean, everyone pretty much behaved and didn't argue. There was no arguing that happened. So, anyway. So, basically, Lisa's like, hey, she's like, can we pour, how about we pour some for the homies? And Gertie's like, girl, stop. They are not dead in LA. What are we doing? Gertie was scared. I was like, oh, I am dead. I was like, that is funny. That is funny. And then after that, Julia does ask in front of everyone, hey, will you guys be the godfather of the kids? And we find out from Julia that they actually, her and her actual, like her kids that she, her children that she's estranged from right now, they actually go there, according to her, every summer and they spend the whole entire summer there. So knowing that context, it does change things just a little bit when it comes to the godfather of it all, but not really, because the true definition of a godfather is, or godparent, just in general, is if Mad Day happens and like the family can't handle it or anything like that, that is who you're basically appointing to take over your parental duties if something was to happen. So, yeah. And also, too, the other thing I feel weird about is Julia, you don't know any black men that could be black male figures for these black boys? I mean, because culture matters. And the way they've been acting, I mean, I'm sorry, I still have to call a thing a thing. I'm not going to pretend that is like not a problem. Especially how Julia's been acting this season. That is a whole entire problem. Like, let's be so for real. There's a lot that needs to be happening here. But neither here nor there. That's just a side note. They, of course, accept. And then they go off to talk on the side. And that's when Julia is venting about her estrangement with her kids. And we have that going on. And then Adria confesses in her confessional. She's like, I'm happy that they accepted this, but I do feel a way that wasn't even asked or even thought about for being a godmother. And the way Julia has been acting Adriana, do you really want to be their god mom? I would say if the relationship was where it was before, I would feel away. But the way it is now and how it has been, I wouldn't want anything to do with it. That's just me. But hey. And then while this is happening, we also then have Gertie and Kiki talking about the whole Ratchet conversation because Kiki's still very offended by it, as she should be. And then Adriana and Lisa are talking, and Adriana straight up says, I meant wretched. And the thing is, she still, and this is what was tricky, and now I was like, oh my gosh, I'm glad I gave Adriana the benefit of the doubt. Because up until someone said wretched to her, it still sounded like she said ratchet. It still was sounding like she was saying ratchet because her accent is so thick. It was like she almost needed someone to say the actual word to her for her to say it properly. And then I forgot the gentleman's name that they're there to see, but he actually came up to them and he was like, so you meant to say wretched. And this is the other thing that no one would have caught it or figured it out, because Adriana and how she grew up, she doesn't, I think she learned Bridget. I'm wondering, did she learn British English versus American English when she learned English? Because wretched is a very common term for in like, I feel like UK, but not here. No one really says that. It's not a common vernacular word in the United States. So maybe that's also part of it. But yeah, I honestly, as this was getting explained, it made sense. And I was like, yeah, because also too, ratchet, like Adriana doesn't seem like someone who would even know what that means. And she clearly did know what that means because it's Ebonics. And I don't remember Adriana ever speaking like using Ebonics. She's not someone who uses Ebonics. If you watch a show, and you have throughout the years, she's not someone that uses, like, at least she wouldn't be using English Ebonics. She would be using like maybe Portuguese Ebonics. I don't know, because like no one else on the show speaks Portuguese. She's the only one that does, and she doesn't really speak Portuguese on the show because she has no one to talk to. She sometimes speaks Spanish because she also knows Spanish, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, so they're talking about it. It's looking like things are going to get cleared up when it comes to that situation. But anyway, move on. So fast forward, all the ladies are back, and now it's time for them to get ready for Stephanie's birthday celebration that Stephanie doesn't realize that that's what they're doing. So they get in their flamingo dresses. Everyone's looking fly. Everyone's looking amazing. It is a vibe. I'm kind of jealous. I was like, dang, I would love this. And then we see, so as this is happening, and we know that Marisol's the one who helped put it together along with Julia. They basically are riding these carriages. They ride to this square, this city square, and then they have like a flamingo artist perform like in the middle, and they're singing like happy birthday to her in Spanish, and it's really, really dope and really cool to see. And so then after that, though, after all that happens, they're dancing and having a good time. They then go off on their own and tour the city. And so at this point, Stephanie decides to pull Alexia aside to have a discussion. And this was odd as well. And I feel like it made them feel away because both of them decide to stay back, but you're only bringing back one. But I get why she did that too, because she's like, y'all are freaking frack. Well, let's see which one y'all. You're the mouthpiece, so let me talk to the mouthpiece. And I'm like, so as this is developing, as they're going back and forth and as they're arguing, it becomes an epiphany that Stephanie realizes that this move was not Alexia's idea. It was Marisol's idea. But Marisol plays the good cop. She's finally figured it out. And like this, but the thing is, us as viewers, we always knew this. We always knew usually most of the devious bad ideas were 9 times out of 10 a Marisol idea that she put a battery in Alex in her back. So yeah, it's a whole thing. Apologies for the different look and view now, but I'm gonna finish this review because okay, so full transparency, I'm doing the rest of this a day later. Something happened while I was recording, and I was done. So I am laying down, doing things slightly different. Hair is kind of crazy, but hey, no worries. So it's the next day with this review. So full transparency, that's what's going on. I ended up going, after everything happened, I ended up going out last night and having me a little bit of a time because I needed it. Because again, this week's been kind of crazy. But anyway, so back to where we were at with the arguing. So now we have Alexia and Stephanie, they're arguing back and forth, but now it's at the point where the rest of the group is involved. And then you already saw that thumbnail. That is literally Gertie and like, because all the other girls are not there. They're just viewing the sites of where they're at. And so Gertie and Kiki are just giving all these visual, like, reactions of what's going on, because it goes from it being just Stephanie versus Alexia, and then Marisol gets involved, and she's kind of just, of course she has, Alexia's back, and she's also vouching, saying, no, this was my idea. I didn't want to be on the thing anymore. I didn't want to go on the jet anymore because of how you're like. But the thing is, what is frustrating Stephanie is because they're telling her that they just need time to themselves instead of being fully transparent and saying that her attitude stopped them from wanting to be on the jet. And really, this is one of those weird cases. I don't know if I said it earlier in the review, but I'm on the side of Stephanie and Marisol. And then the other thing that's happening then is Stephanie panics, and she's just, because really with this back and forth, she's not doing well. I feel like she did not do well when it came to this back and forth. So then she tries to air out the reason why this jet thing was even an issue, and say that, well, it was their idea to not have you in the jet, Lisa, and just throw Lisa in there. And then Lisa's like, wait a minute, what's going on? What this is about? And then that's when Marisol explains really what went down. It's like, no, that's not what it was. And then Larsa gets involved. She's like, no, I wasn't comfortable with you being on the jet. So that's what happened there. And so then now they're going back and forth. So we have Stephanie going back and forth with Cuban frickin' frack, while at the same time now Lisa versus Larsa is happening again. And then everyone else is just like, oh my gosh, while we have then Gertie and Kiki just having like the best facial reactions with all this the whole entire time. And it was cracking me up. Because also before this, I forgot if it was before or after, but Kiki and I think it was before this. Kiki, and I don't remember if I said it before in the previous video. If I did, I'll just edit this out. But Kiki did end up getting an apology from Adriana about the comment. She was like, no, I meant Wretched, not Ratchet. And Kiki received the apology. And so with that being said, let me spill some of the tea when it comes to the after show. So the after show kind of cleared up a lot of things. So for example, when it came to this whole situation about the jet thing, I had Alexia and Marisol's back more at the beginning, just through the episode. But then when I watched the after show, it made me change my mind just a little bit, because unbeknownst to us behind the scenes, once they were offended by the whole thing that Stephanie was doing, they were behind the scenes trying to ice Stephanie out and trying to get everyone to not participate and not be on this jet. Yeah. So that's why I said at the end of the day, no one's really a hero. No one's really a villain for the most part. And you know who put all that on blast and who basically affirmed that that's what was going on? Gertie. Gertie is airing out this cast now. And so I don't know what this is going to look like come the reunion or next season. But like Gertie 2.0 is a different kind of Gertie. She's not playing these games anymore with these ladies. So the fact that she aired them out and was like, yeah, they were behind the scenes trying to get like none of us to go on there. And apparently there was a confrontation that happened where Gertie and Stephanie kind of got into it after the fact because she didn't know that Lisa was mad. Lisa said something kind of off-putting because she was drunk to like Gertie, and Gertie was annoyed with Lisa, and so she kind of carried that with her. And then Stephanie was already mad with what was going on, and they kind of had a little bit of a back and forth. And then when Marisol and Alexia saw this, were like, okay, how about you don't go on the jet either? So that behind the scenes was happening, and this was revealed during the after show. Another thing that was revealed during the after show is that Kiki did show true remorse about calling Adriana old and all the things that she did as a clapback, because it turned out that, because pretty much everyone believes, and I'm glad mostly everyone believes that, like Adriana meant to say wretched, not ratchet. Because again, I already mentioned my theory before in the previous like video. I fully believe that a lot of Adriana's issues when her jokes don't land and stuff is because English is not her first language, first of all. And second of all, I think the English that she learned was British English and not American English. And wretched would be a common term you use in British English, or like, sorry, UK English basically, versus like United States English. Like we would never... I feel like we said wretched like in a different century, if that makes sense. Like that's not something we say in today's day and age. So that's kind of what I think was a disconnect. And so that's a little bit what happened there. Moving on. One more thing that I must explain, and I forgot to mention it earlier on because, you know, me doing the review kind of differently this time around. So remember how I stated that this reminded me of what happened with Kiki last season? So last season, Kiki tried to have a birthday celebration event after swim week, after she invited the ladies to come to Miami Swim Week. And basically none of the ladies showed up for her, so therefore there was no seeing with her. And so it didn't happen. And I think part of me was thinking that Alexia and Marisol were basically trying to do the same thing, where if no one goes on the jet, that is one less scene with Stephanie. And also, too, that birthday plan that they were talking about there would be spoiled, too. So it would just be... Well, actually, the birthday thing was once they got back, so that's not even the same thing. So I would say, basically, the Julia thing wouldn't even happen. So... at least when it comes to the jet part of it. I'm assuming they would have probably found a different way of getting there. But yeah, that is kind of my theory of what, why it kind of reminded me of what happened with Kiki last season. Because basically they were trying to ice this girl out. So yeah. So after all this happened, the girls are now back at the hotel. And they're all kind of in their respective corners, like recapping. And they're being kind of overly dramatic about, oh my gosh, this fight was horrible and stuff. And it's like, okay, you guys, this is like a typical fight that you guys, Housewives do. But I feel like that is just like, that's Miami. That they are very dramatic. And so you have Larsa and Stephanie recapping what's happening. And does anyone else find it strange that Larsa is so close to Stephanie, but we know that Larsa doesn't really care for really that many people in general? Like, she's kind of the villain of the show. Does anyone find that odd? And the other thing is, this is still... I still feel the way I feel when it comes to Stephanie. She is not likable. This didn't help. She's still just not likable. But they're recapping everything that went down because, of course, now they're like the short term of Stephanie being cool with Alexia, that is ended. And now she's also not cool with Marisol now. Now she actually views Marisol differently and feels like Marisol is a true is the true reason why her and Alexia don't get along. She thinks, she doesn't respect how Marisol moves. But the thing is, those of us who've watched the show been known this about Marisol. Like, she doesn't do this stuff to your face. She's the non-confrontational one who does all this stuff behind your back, which is actually more dangerous than someone who's loud and wrong, like Alexia is a lot of times. Like Alexia, to me, and I think I've already said this to y'all, she's like the Miami Teresa Giudice. And they literally kind of look the same. They kind of look alike. Like, she's a blonde, Cuban, like, Teresa Giudice. So, like, the cunningness isn't really there as much. I feel like so that tells you that the cunningness comes from, Marisol. So then while this is happening, then we have Julia, Alexia, and Lisa talking. And they're still just recapping what happened, and also the fact that how Lisa and Larsa still are not getting along. And Lisa's like, dude, I've tried so many times. And I feel like the rest of the group is trying to push Lisa to, hopefully they can like patch things up and she continues to be the bigger person. And Lisa, I think, is like tired of it. She's like, I don't really need to be friends with her. And they're having this conversation outside. And then while this is happening, the rest of the ladies are at the hotel bar, who really didn't really do much other than Marisol. Marisol was kind of like the cause of all this. They're just talking. But so while this is happening, out of nowhere, they're like, I smell something burning. And it turns out that they are literally doing all this talking and being dramatic and crying in the middle of like a funeral ceremony, outdoor funeral ceremony that's happening. And so they basically put a break in, like, oh, that's an omen, that's an omen. So they stop and they watch the ceremony. And they're like, okay, it's an omen that we need to just, come together, do better. And that's really where the episode ends. But yeah, that concludes Real Housewives of Miami. It was a really, really good episode. I kind of want to go back and watch it again. Again, I apologize for the delay and like the different changes when it comes to like my camera view and stuff like this. But, I kind of do like this view. Like, I like the lighting in this room a little bit more than my normal lighting, actually. I'm actually in my living room, if you didn't realize this. So, like, I'm laying on my couch and I'm doing this review. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Hopefully next week things will be a little bit more normal for me. I feel like my normal's not going to be normal for a while, full transparency though, because the things I have going on, I'm really not going to know too much until probably around October. The earliest. So there's just a lot of anxiety of what's going on, and even October, I don't think I'm gonna have all the answers, if that makes sense. So yeah, but anyway, that does conclude my video. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Mel Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. Bye.